Hey Lucas, thanks for joining our Next Wave series. I look forward to hearing your exciting story about sharing the exciting football content worldwide.
Hi, Young. Good to see you too.
Right, so this is a very exciting time and very difficult time for everybody, but my understanding is that the demand for content is increasing through the web, and it'll be great if you can talk about what you're doing to help people to get in touch with what's going on outside.
For sure, Young. So thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, happy to share with you, what we do at OneFootball and what the future holds for us in a for us at least, very exciting year 2020. So I founded OneFootball 12 years ago, and my ambition always was to create the biggest football media platform. So to bring football to the homes and to the hearts of football fans, and provide them access to their favorite teams and matches and leagues, and so for everything that they would wish for to have. And now 12 years later, we can clearly say that we're not only one of the biggest football platforms, we're the biggest football platform, we're also one of the biggest sports platform, when not if the biggest sports platform globally. And we provide the football fan, and we have 85 million monthly active users on our owned and operated assets, and we provide the fans with data, stats, lineups, news, background stories, videos, and just recently we've added the live component with live matches and highlight clips in certain countries. And just yesterday we have announced that 10 of the top global football clubs became our shareholders, with Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus Turin, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Olympique Marseille, Manchester City. So it's a great group, and I'm more than happy to explain to you later in the conversation what that means for the company.
Wow, so you're really covering quite a bit of content. I mean, first of all, congratulations having the biggest mobile platform to reaching the football content to the users, which is awesome. And what I'm also, as a user, I'm a user of your app, I'm happy to see that you can see the team that you can follow, national teams, club teams, players, and real time being able to get the data that can help you to understand statistics and the kind of information that can improve your knowledge. So clearly you're using the digital technology and information and data technology to enhance the user experience. In a time like this in pandemic, it is a huge asset to help us to get there. And so tell me about what happened COVID-19, what happened to your business, and how are you dealing with the situation that we're all going through?
Yeah, so I mean, as every business, Young, it was the first couple of weeks, it was a challenge because we needed to get our heads around, how we deal with the crisis, especially because all football matches were cancelled from March onwards, and no one knew if they're going to come back or when they will come back. And for sure, for a football fan, it's crucial to have a match. Yeah, you cannot live with content and just editorial content for months and years without having a specific football match. But I think one thing we did very well at OneFootball was swiftly reacting to the crisis and coming up with a plan how we want to deal with it. And one topic which was very clear to me is, I think we talked about it also, is the fact of bread and circuses. So in good times and in bad times, and especially in bad times, it's very important to entertain the people. And I think the governments quickly realized that they have to bring entertainment to the people, and football is the #1 sport globally. So that's why in May, the Bundesliga in Germany came back, and step by step, the different leagues returned, even though we were in the midst of the pandemic, because everyone understood that this is a fundamental wish and require from people to consume that content. So it was 2-3 bumpy months, but for everyone. But then we were actually back to the same levels of our growth metrics and everything in Q3. Honestly, and it's not a nice thing to say when you profit from a crisis and a pandemic, but we didn't choose it. We are a digital first product. We are a fan-centric offering, and we profited from the fact that people were more consuming on their mobile phones, and especially that bumpy times, which caused also bumpy times for others, put us in the position to enter M&A discussions.
Yeah, no, congratulations on your acquisition of one of the biggest content makers out there. The content you're getting with all these phenomenal teams you mentioned earlier, they are the leaders of the Champions League. So how that happened, and was it easy to acquire that, and what did that mean to you?
So to me personally, it means a lot. You can actually say it's the dream of a small football boy, is coming to truth and to existence. That when I said 12 years ago I want to build this football platform, if someone would have told me 12 years later it's backed by the most important football clubs on the planet, then I would have not believed it. But that's what it is today. And it was, it's always, as you can imagine, an M&A transaction, it doesn't go easy and simple, especially when there are lots of parties involved. But for me, it was important that these 10 clubs, which are now shareholders of OneFootball, that they really are behind the case. And the case for them is that they had a bit of a challenge with social media, and they have a challenge that they don't really earn big money, number one. Number two, they don't really get access to data, and they don't have access to customers. And we're a solution for that. And we want that team, the teams and the specific clubs, to be part of the ecosystem. So we want to build and establish the ecosystem with the ecosystem, and not on the back of the ecosystem. And that's why this is such a strong value proposition, because the clubs are shareholders of the platform, and they are beneficiaries of the platform in terms of revenues, access to customers, and access to customer data.
So Lucas, tell us about your journey. You are a founder, entrepreneur, and actually you had a long journey, already 12 years, which means you're a very patient man. But I think to understand where you are today, it'll be good to understand where you began. And tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. What are some of the difficult moments you have to overcome? And then what did you have to do to scale the company?
So I think the fortunate, unfortunate thing of being a founder and an entrepreneur is you realize later if you are actually in the position to be one. Because I believe that you have to have certain character traits in order to go through an entrepreneurship, especially when you look at most of the big and established companies. It was never an easy ride, and it never took 2 years. It mostly, for most of the companies, it took a decade or longer. So persistence and believe in what you do is one of the fundamental character traits you have to carry with you in order to be in the position to fulfill your vision and to execute on it. And that goes along, and persistence goes along with accepting that a lot of people at the beginning say, what are you doing? Doesn't make any sense, and it's too small, and that you have a lot of people who push back and don't want to work with you. And you just have to constantly remind yourself why you believe this is going to work. So, and I'm a data person, so I saw from the very beginning that the data tells me the truth, that we had a growing user base without spending marketing, because we had the best product and we had an offering which was not there at the very beginning. And that's what kept me. It's attitude and persistence which keeps you as an entrepreneur.
So the persistence paid off. Of course, you're passionate about football. Tell me about, given your data-driven business, tell me about what are the key, what we call KPI, what are the key metrics that you monitor to see and monitor success of your company?
Yeah, so it's there are a few, but the key ones are monthly active users, daily active users, session per user per month, and time spent per session per user. And if you look at that matrix, then the result is retention rates, churn rates. You know, then you can look at cohorts and segment the cohorts in terms of, you know, how much is what cohort consuming. But those four are the fundamental ones, you know, who define, one, the success of the product and the platform, and two, you know, we're a fan and user-centric business operation. And for me, the asset of the company is the user and the number of users times engagement. And then, and we discussed that too, Yong, money follows the best user experiences. And when you have captured a market and you've built a defensible product, then money will follow.
So what you're saying is really focused on content that viewers like to see, and as that traction increases, obviously the churn rate will be managed, and therefore then others are going to follow because of the user base that are supporting. But when you're looking at your business, do you already successful getting the data from the beginning, get-go, or do you have to build it over time? And what are the key metrics that you have to create in terms of your business model? So I think it'll be important for the viewers to understand what is your business model and why these metrics are important for your perspective.
So I think at the beginning, when you found a company, you clearly have to decide on, you know, what is core to the business and what can you afford and what do you insource and what do you outsource. So I mean, now we have a data team, data insights team with data engineers and our own data warehouse, which we didn't have 5 years ago. And we had to, you know, work with Google Analytics and other localytics and other tools, which literally give us data points. But but what you know from most of these data sources is that they are bundled data and that it's not, you know, 100% accurate, etc. But you have to at least believe that data part is the right one to build your business on. But externalize it. And also 12 years ago, there were not, you know, a lot of tools out there where you could retrieve data because it was not seen as the core and key to businesses, which it is today. So when we focused on these metrics, it was very clear to us that, you know, that customer engagement piece is core and key to the company. And there are literally, in digital, I always say there are only two business models. One is paid, which is direct to consumer, and the other one is B2B2C, which is advertising. And then in between, you have a range of freemium, but you can move more towards paid, or you can move more towards the advertising side. But there is not more. Yes, data is part of it. Data is a business model, but data is the fundament for then advertising or a paid model, where maybe someone else earns money with it. And luckily, as OneFootball, we are in the position to do and work on both business models. So because of, you know, a number of customers, times engagement is advertising space. So, and that's the normal platform business like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You know, all these platforms live on, and it's the engagement which you then advertise and have the media dollars around it. And then we have established a direct to consumer business, where now in Germany, in Austria, in Switzerland, in Italy, in Spain, in UK, in Brazil, Latin America, users can buy specific football matches on a pay-per-view basis, because that's the future where I believe we have to go. And then we enter a direct relation with the customer, and the customer pays $1.99, $2.99, $3.99, and then we share the revenues with the broadcasters or the rights holders.
So basically what you're enabling is really delivering content to your specific users and users' taste rather than traditional media that are broadcasting across the channel, and then you have no choice. Whether you like it or not, you have to watch certain teams because that's what broadcasters are broadcasting. Now you have so many content that are coming at your mobile phone, you can choose what you want to watch and then project it at Samsung TV so you can actually watch it in big screen as well.
Exactly, and that's that. There you're touching something where I believe that's going to be a massive trend for the future. Is a normal publishing business has a website or a newspaper, and they create content for everyone. But I'm or you have different interests than I have, and vice versa. And you are particularly interested in 5% of the daily news, yeah, and I'm interested in different 5%. So what we make sure is that by understanding your preferences, we just give you the content you are interested in, because less is more. And the more content is floating on our phones, is everywhere visible on all the different screens, the more we have to work on differentiating between interest and not interest, and noise and not noise. So that's the one thing. And the other part is, in order to sustain a platform business which is scalable and where you have economies of scale, content creation is not the right thing to go for. And that's why we are a platform where we aggregate and curate content from parties which create content. And by that, we are in the position to go in and to look into economies of scale.
Very good. I mean, I know you are now you have the largest football content in mobile today. And so imagine where you'd be, let's say, 5 years out. Where would be OneFootball?
So, as I mentioned earlier, that was the reason why we brought the football clubs on board. We have established the football ecosystem with the ecosystem. Yeah. So the blogs, the publishers, the rights holders, the federations, the leagues are part of the ecosystem. And we're now addressing 85 million customers. But we believe in 2-3 years, we can easily address a couple of 100 millions, because the more the participants of the ecosystem benefit from the ecosystem, the more they put into the ecosystem, and the less they put somewhere else. And that's the reason why we strongly believe that platform businesses on the long run have to be mutually beneficial. Otherwise, the one party pulls out. And we want to give everyone what they deserve in terms of, when a football club like Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid, they create content, they should profit from it. They should get data from it. They should get access to customers. And that's what we're giving them. And that's why I believe we're going to be one of the biggest platforms globally out of Europe, which is, I'm a European believer. I believe in diversity. I believe in European diversity. And there's a reason historically why the Europeans were not in the position to establish platforms, because first, it's not about earning money. First, it's about building a customer engagement and a platform with hundreds and tens of millions of customers. And that's what we did. And we built, football is coming from Europe. So we as Europeans, we have to be in the center of football. And that's what the ambition is for me and the company.
So building a global platform, given the birth of football is really coming from Europe, you want to see the successful OneFootball European birth company that are being able to provide mobile football content worldwide.
Exactly. And in the end, Young, you're a football fan. You're supporting Tottenham. I'm a football fan. I'm supporting Cologne, which is one of the worst teams you can support, because the last time when they won the Champions League was the day of the year of my birth. So that's quite a while ago. And what the promise behind it is we want to make football fans happy. we want to make football accessible again.
So Lucas, one of my last questions for you is that you've been a patient, persistent entrepreneur building a global platform, which I appreciate. Now, as a successful entrepreneur, I want to ask you, what message would you share with aspiring young generation that wants to be like you?
I think what's important is to be honest with yourself at any time, and honest with yourself in terms of the capabilities and the capacity you have and you want to give, and honest with yourself if you believe in something because you believe in something even if it doesn't work, or if you believe in something because you actually can derive from the data points and the feedback that it works. Because the worst thing is, to do something just because you started it and then remain doing it even though you understand and learn that it's maybe not a good business, or the numbers don't prove to give you the right direction. So that's the one advice. The second advice, which I think is very important, Young, is time. Because everyone thinks, I found a company, I quickly get 20 million, then I raise 100 million, then it's going to be amazing. And after 5 years, I sell it for $1 billion, and then I'm going to be rich. So, portfolio theory, the theory. So 1 out of 10 is in the position to do a Series A funding. Then the ratio of getting to B is even lower. The ratio to getting to a C round is even lower. So be honest with what you can expect, and you need to be truthful that it can fail, and failure is okay. Yeah, and we need to learn, especially in Europe and with that it is okay to fail. It's not part of our culture. Failing is not part of our culture. The Americans have taught us how they amazingly well do that, and accepting, and failure is nothing bad. It's a learning curve. So
yes,
and those are the things I would give to young entrepreneurs, and be persistent, believe in your idea, even if your family, friends, and business partners tell you that's not a good one.
So be persistent, be honest about where you are. Failure is okay, and because of what you learn, you will be even better entrepreneur next round.
And give it some time.
And be patient.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, I really appreciate your dialogue. I'm sure many viewers in this show will appreciate the experience of OneFootball for the football, as well as your entrepreneurial story. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Young.